This is part 6. This is Juliana, still with Adrian, and we're going to talk about Aggie Hag and his production company. Go ahead, Adrian.
Yes, well, I formed a production company especially to film Aggie Hag. It was called Little Acorn Entertainments.
Why did you choose that name?
Because
Acorns grow into trees.
Acorns grow into trees. I had done a children's entertainment when I came out of drama school under the banner of Little Acorn Entertainments, and I thought, yeah, it's going to be bigger things. So I'll probably call the next production company Big Tree Productions, which actually happened to be so. So Little Acorn Entertainments were offered space at the studios owned by Nickelodeon. Well, this is the story that I was fed, and it was the date was set 9 months ahead. Now at that time I had part-time work, so I arranged 3 months of time, because the contract with Nickelodeon, the verbal contract with Nickelodeon was that I film a 15-minute pilot with a cliffhanger ending.
Cliffhangers, yes.
Yes, they said they'll show it 3 or 4 times a day. Well, this was the story I was fed. So what had been the person who had been my co-writer, we worked endlessly to build the sets and the characters and get the scripts finalised, and trying to follow the format of the Magic Roundabout, which was only 5-minute episodes, not with cliffhanger endings. They were all isolated stories. It went against what I had planned, but I thought, okay, if it gets us airtime, then I'll go for the 15 minutes. So we devised a story for the pilot, and we're ready to go. I booked a van. The van driver told me we would be late that day. I wanted him for 9 o'clock in the morning. He wouldn't be able to be with me until midday. So I phoned the studio and said, we're going to be late today. We did plan to be in first thing in the morning and set up, but we can't start travelling until midday. And I spoke to the chap who'd offered the studio, and he said, oh, don't bother. I said, what do you mean, don't bother? I said, I am bothered. I've worked 9 months to this point.
Yeah.
And he said, no, don't bother. He said, the studio's not working.
Huh?
And I said, what do you mean the studio's not working?
He didn't bother to tell you.
And he said, we had people in over the weekend having a private party, and they blew all the electrics.
Ah!
I said, well, I booked the van, so I'll bring the props and the sets and the puppets over and leave them there. He said, yeah, if you want everything damaged or stolen, do it.
Oh my gosh.
He said, with the electrics went the alarm system.
Ah!
So there's no security. And I says, when do you think it's going to be ready? And he says, not until Wednesday at the latest. This was the Monday.
Right.
So I said, at the earliest rather. So I said,
right.
Okay, well, we'll come over on Wednesday. He said, no, phone Wednesday.
Oh.
So I said, well, okay, I'll phone you Wednesday. So I was
obviously devastated.
Yeah, I had a chat with my co-writer, and I said, we're going to have to go through the weekend. I said, we've got to do 15 minutes of airtime of animation, and we working at 25 frames per second.
Right.
Now, with animation, you halve that to find out how many movements you need per second.
Right.
I said that, we're going to need the weekend if we're going to complete it in 3 months.
Yeah.
So I phoned them on Wednesday. My co-writer was already with me because he was going to help me get all the stuff on the van.
Yeah.
I'd managed to put the van driver off.
Yes.
Phoned the studio to make sure that I had studio space.
Where was the studio?
I don't know.
No, it was in London.
It was in London.
Yeah. And you were still in London?
I was still in London at this point. And he said to me, don't bother. I said, no, you said that on Monday, don't bother. Now, when can we come in? We're going to have to work through the weekend. He said, you can't work at weekends. He said, we don't let people in at weekends. I said, hang on. Wasn't it because you let people in last weekend that you have no electric?
So he's lying.
And he says, do you know what? I'm getting tired of this conversation. I'm going to put the phone down. I said, no, you give me an answer. I've worked for this bloody hard. So you tell me when I can come into the studio. He said, an attitude like that? No, you're not coming into the studio.
Oh, what a bastard.
So I was desperate. So I phoned the producer of the Tripods.
Right.
And I had a track record of good work.
Yeah.
And I said to him, what do I do? And he started laughing. And I said, with the deepest respect, Mr. B, it's not funny. I'm beside myself. He says, I'm not laughing at you, Adrian. I'm laughing at the situation.
Right.
He said, I've been down that road. I have learnt to my costs that cable companies are business suits who don't know anything about the business. They're just there to make money. He says, so what you're experiencing now is something I learnt to my cost years ago. He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll be a sleeping producer on your show.
Right.
And I'll even pay for your first film stock if you want.
Ah.
He says, if you get this again with any companies that play silly sods with you, mention my name. Tell them that I'm the executive producer.
Right.
And he said, if they know anything about the business,
they'll know who he is. Yes.
He said, in case you ever messed around again, mention my name. Just drop it into a conversation. If they know anything about the business, they'll be messing their pants.
Right.
He said, they won't mess you about then.
And?
Well, he's become even bigger.
Yeah. So what happened in the end that weekend?
Aggie Hag never got made.
Ah, because of that?
Because of that, and I had to go back to work early.
Oh.
And
have you still got it?
I've still got the puppets. The sets were destroyed because I've moved around.
Yeah.
I came to Brighton.
But you've still got the script?
Somewhere.
Ah.
I've got a folder of them somewhere.
Yeah.
But I've still got the main puppets.
Yes. So what did you do then? You went back to acting, or what did you do?
I relied on my agent getting me work.
Yes.
I applied
and you told me you didn't like the parties afterwards.
The after parties. I hate after show parties.
Right.
Sometimes they're called rap parties if it's to do with film and television.
Rap.
And the reason I didn't go to many after-show parties when I was doing a lot of theatre was that actors are notorious for A, talking at the tops of their voices.
And name-dropping.
And B, name-dropping. So a whole crowded room...
Well, someone might have dropped your name.
Doubt it very much. I've worked with Adrian is not like I worked with Larry on several occasions, you know. But, I have seen whole rooms brought to silence. One person in particular comes to mind, an actor that I was with at a rap party. He was a Doctor Who fan, and I don't know.
Are you talking about John Pertwee?
No, I'm not. No, he's not so well known. He's now getting himself out there, but he is very eccentric, and he does this perfect impression of Davros, the creator of the Daleks. And at this particular rap party, he started doing a very loud impression of Davros, having a fit. And it brought the entire place to a silent standstill.
Oh, you didn't get a standing ovation?
Oh, no. I was melting into the floor with embarrassment.
Oh.
I don't do rap parties for that reason.
No. And they still go on, I presume.
Oh, they always go on. It's you work bloody hard as an actor, and it's basically playing hard afterwards.
Yeah. And do you still mix with actors? Because Alan Rickman's died, and
yes, I'm. No. Frankly, no. I did for a period last year during the Fringe Festival in Brighton.
Right.
Because I was involved with a play, but that's it.
Okay. Well, we'll go on to the next phase of your life very soon. Watch this space.